The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code NBSGPN. Get a $1,000 bonus credit. We're also about to Edge Boost. Get up to $70 per month in cash rewards by using the Edge Boost link, edgeboost.bet, with the promo code SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Thursday morning, roughly 11 a.m. Eastern Time on April 3rd. I'm Rose Episodes guy Reichel, joined by Lonte Smith, and together we're going to break down the Thursday card. Only 6 games to talk about, but there are a couple of close ones based on the spread, a couple of blowouts projected. You know, what do you expect? Half the team's tanking at this point. Should be a fun blend, though. But Lonte, how's it going with you?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Decent show yesterday. Some dogs were barking yesterday, so that was good if you were a dog player. But outside of that, man, I'm doing pretty good. Just ready to, like I said yesterday, just trying to get to the playoffs so we can actually find games to actually handicap and not be pretty much crap shooting here and there.
Yeah, well, you did mention a couple of dogs barking. I'll get into those now. You saw the Spurs beat the Nuggets outright. Can't really blame the Nuggets there off the double overtime game where they sat half the team and they ended up having a back-to-back. So not a shock that the Spurs were able to capitalize on an exhausted Nuggets team. Even though Westbrook had a solid 30-point game, I know Pickett had a triple-double, and Castle was 1 assist away from a triple-double, actually. But a nice win there for the Spurs, even though it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Besides that, you saw the Heat have a nice win against the Celtics. Heat are playing some good ball. We'll see how they look getting into the play-in. But either way, point is Miami, if they ended up making it out of the play-in, it would not be that shocking based on current form. Speaking of play-in teams, to show you how bad the bottom of the West is, the Wizards beat the Kings. And the Kings are a play-in team right now. So that tells you how bad the play-in teams might actually be. But we'll see. I think the Kings are still 1 up on Phoenix for that 10 spot. But that is a wasted opportunity when you basically have free win in your back pocket with about a week to go. And you lose to the Wizards. That's probably not a good look. But anything jump off the page to you from yesterday's action?
Not much, but that was a horrible loss for Sacramento. I mean, it wasn't even like that the Wizards just got blistering hot from 3 or, we're just having this otherworldly performance from a player. They really got dominated from start to finish. Like, it wasn't really – I mean, they got back in it late. I think DeRozan got back-to-back and ones, but he missed the first
I felt like the Wizards were leading the entire game.
Yeah, so it was and then they gave up they had a chance to I think tie it. They were down 2, and then they gave up a wide open 3 to JT Thor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, outside of that, the Rockets just smoked. They smoked the who were they playing? The Jazz. Yeah, they smoked the Jazz. Yeah, good win for the Heat. The Celtics it looked like they kind of mailed it in a little bit.
They benched a lot of guys. I think Horford didn't play, Porzingis didn't play, but still Miami showed up. And
it's a good win. So. Yeah, that's a good win. But yeah, outside of that, man, it wasn't really much going on. I think the best game obviously was the Dallas-Atlanta game, and that was evident by what happened and the point spread. I think it was only single-digit point spread of the card. It was a really good game. I thought AD was going to be out again after he got elbowed, but came back, hit the game winner. That was a really good game. Back and forth the whole time. That was a really good game.
Yeah, really heartbreaking loss, by the way, for overbetters in that game.
Yeah, I was one of those.
It was 240.5. You had 41 points in the fourth quarter, and the game landed 238. AD, you mentioned, to go through the actual stats for him, he had 34 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 blocks. So AD had himself a classic Anthony Davis game. Do want to ask you, though, about Dallas just in general. I know they don't actually play today, but if we're going through some recap stuff from yesterday, how dangerous do you think Dallas actually is? Not in terms of beating OKC, because I don't see that happening, but they have had OKC's number of the season. Do you think there's a realistic world where they make it out of the play-in? Would you pick them to make it out of the play-in? Like, what do you think their current, I'd say, status is compared to the other play-in teams around them?
Yeah, it depends on. So the play-in can go like a numerous ways.
That's why I'm asking, because we don't even know what teams are going to be in the play-in yet.
Right, but let's say if we get Sacramento, let's say Sacramento, Memphis, Dallas, and I don't know who's the last team. Phoenix. Let's say those 4.
Phoenix would have to take out Sacramento, basically, because I don't think Phoenix has a real chance.
Whatever.
Right now, looking at 7 through 10, you have right now the Clippers, who are tied with Minnesota and the Grizzlies. But technically, the Clippers are in 7th. So the Clippers in 7, Grizzlies at 8, Mavericks at 9, Kings at 10. That's all subject to change over the next week or two. But that's what we got right now.
Yeah, I don't like them against either of those teams. I don't. I really don't. The Kings maybe, but I don't know. I'm kind of stubborn about the Kings. I think they can still match up well against certain spots, but
I have no faith in the Kings to do anything.
Yeah, no, I don't have any faith in them to do it. It's just that I'm stubborn on my numbers will say that they should dominate the Mavs, but their interior won't be able. If they get Lively back as well, that's just a big front line of AD, Lively, and Gafford that they don't have the requisite bigs to handle. I mean, Sabonis will probably end up in the hospital because he's going to be dealing with those 3 guys. But yeah, I can see them kind of getting by the Kings maybe, but other than that, I don't really trust them against anybody. They just don't have a ball handler. They don't have enough shot makers. Yeah, I don't really think that they can do anything outside of maybe a game against Sacramento.
Well, right now, I think they would beat Sacramento in the 9-10 game. The really interesting part is one of the play-in teams we talked about, who were not a play-in team for the entire season, the Memphis Grizzlies, who completely just unraveled over the last month and a half, and they ended up firing their coach. They haven't won a game since. They haven't beaten a team over 500 in about 2 months. So the question that I kind of have for you here, assuming the Clippers, as of right now for convenience, assuming the Clippers stay the 7, assuming the Grizzlies stay the 8 and you keep the same order, would you take Memphis in a game against Dallas in a play-in game?
I would, yeah. I would.
I don't think I would.
Yeah, I would.
I don't want anything to do with Memphis. I actually don't think I would.
Memphis has no issue beating middling teams. They just can't beat.
I get that.
Yeah, they
I
can't
just
beat
feel like
teams.
Based on Memphis's current form, and I get matchup-wise, they have size, and you wonder who'd guard Ja for the Mavericks. But based on how they're playing and the overall chemistry and the morale and everything like that, I think Dallas, I'd probably pick to beat Memphis in an 8-9 game. Yes, I know Memphis is good at home, but
in Memphis, that'd be tough.
If Memphis flamed out, though, and completely missed the playoffs, and they ended up losing 2 play-in games, I don't think people would be as surprised as you might think, because that team has been just in absolute freefall for the last month and a half. So, once again, I don't know how far AD and company can carry them. I know Lively came back, so they got basically everyone back besides Kyrie, who's obviously out for the rest of the season. I think Dallas can find a way into the bracket. I think there is a path there if you are low on the Grizzlies in particular for maybe an upset happening there. But I'm just saying Memphis missing the playoff bracket is honestly not that far-fetched as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's not. I just wouldn't. I'm not saying that you're wrong or disagreeing, but it's a path where Memphis just loses out, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
that's kind of what I'm looking at.
I can see it. I can see it.
So that's kind of my thoughts. I think Dallas has a chance to get into the bracket, but nothing more. I would pick OKC against them in a series. If Kyrie was playing, maybe I'd reconsider, but he's not. So no offense to Dimwitty, but if PJ Washington ends up beating the Thunder single-handedly again, then, you take your chances. But I'll go with the Thunder in that one. But anyway, I wanted to mention that. The other point I wanted to mention was I know Brunson didn't play. Have to mention the Knicks getting destroyed by a top-tier team again. Off to a good start, led after a quarter, then got blown out and lost by 19. The Knicks so far this season, I'm going to ignore the numbers against the Thunder because it's not really relevant for the grand scheme of things. I don't think the Knicks get that far. The Knicks this season are 0-6 against the Cavs and the Celtics. Average loss margin of 21 points. So I want to ask you about the Knicks. I know that Brunson didn't play. I'm not going to forget that he didn't play. To be fair, they weren't beating Boston or Cleveland with Brunson anyway, but for yesterday, he didn't play. If the Knicks end up losing in the second round again against probably the Celtics, does Tibbs get fired?
I don't know if they make it out of the first round against Detroit, because they're pretty much going to face. I mean, I think it's not set in stone, but it's pretty a high probability that they play Detroit in the first round, right?
Actually, it's not, because Milwaukee's kind of falling apart. So the Knicks right now are 3 games up on the Pacers for 3, and they're 8 back of the Celtics. So they're basically locked into the 3. Right. However, the Pistons now are half a game ahead of the Bucks, but they have played an extra game. So right now, the Knicks are playing the Bucks, but once again, only a half game cushion Detroit has over Milwaukee. So there is a chance the Knicks end up playing Milwaukee in the first round instead.
Without
they're going to beat Milwaukee.
Yeah, without Dame, I like them against Milwaukee, but I don't think they would beat Detroit. I really don't. I don't think they would beat Detroit. I think it'll be a physical 7-game series, and we know what the Knicks like to do in playoffs. We know what Tibbs teams are: low in depth,
get hurt
physical.
And lose late.
Say it again.
Get hurt and lose late in series.
That too. But my thing is, JB's team is built to be physical. They have the bodies to throw at Towns. They have the 3-point shooters, which the Knicks can't defend the 3. I think
Stewart might punch somebody. You got all the variables in there.
Yeah, so like I really think that Detroit can win against the Knicks. I think they have a better chance against the Knicks than they do against the Pacers. I think the Pacers may win, in 5 or 6 games just because their style of play is so different, and I think the Pacers have more to offer offensively than what the Knicks can overall. So I really want it to be Detroit and the Knicks, and then the Pacers and the Bucks. But we'll see. But I don't think that he gets fired. I think he goes in.
Let's assume, based on convenience, that the Knicks get out of the first round, either against Detroit or against Milwaukee. If they lose in the second round to the Celtics, defending champions, a lot of people are picking to win the title again. If they lose in 5, do you think they move on? Because they're spending a lot of money on some key guys, and they're not even close this year.
Yeah, I don't think they move on simply because they're not going to be picked to beat them. If it was somebody else, maybe, but they have to. I would think they would have to lose like first round, like 4-1, or get swept for them to really consider it. I mean, they don't have a good team. They got a good starting 5. And that's not enough.
They have no bench at all. But when you trade 5 picks as a Nets fan, once again, thank you, for Mikal Bridges, you pay Anunoby all that money. You get Cat, and you end up having Brunson, of course, who might have the best deal in the entire league. And you're not even close to being a serious threat in the Eastern Conference. Yeah. I just wonder, I know you could argue it's roster construction, but of course the GM will just fire the coach as a scapegoat and just try to save his own job. I just wonder if this is basically the ceiling of the Thibodeau Knicks experience. And it feels that way.
It is. And I mean, unless they change that, unless they have significant changes to that roster, because we still haven't seen the OG injury that we always see.
We've seen a couple here or there, but for the most part, he's been healthier than we expected.
Yeah, and you just can't. I mean, I don't think you can win with how they play. I think they're a typical regular season team that outplays or plays harder on an on a nightly basis than the other team in the regular season, just because of that's Tibbs' way of coaching, and it works in the regular season. I don't think it works in the playoffs when it's a half-court game and they're loading up on Brunson. Brunson's going to do what he does, but again, he's coming back into this. He hasn't played in like a month and a half, so
about a month, yeah.
So he's going to have to like ramp up, and like by that time, I mean, it might be over, depending on who they play.
Yeah, I mean, my main concern is, of course, Thibodeau running his players into the ground every year, and they run into gas in the playoffs, and everyone gets hurt. So you have a lot of question marks there. I wanted to mention it because when you're 0-6 against your top rivals in the conference, and you're getting blown out by 20-plus on average, I just don't really know how you can look at those results, assuming it repeats itself in the playoffs and Boston smacks this team, and just look at Thibodeau and say, oh, no, we're just going to run it back. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do. And Ian's mentioned they need more guys. With what money? Like, you spend all that money on Cat. That's why you brought him in. You have a great deal on Brunson. I mean, Bridges is getting paid some. You'd argue less than you might think, but still, I don't know how much roster flexibility they actually have.
That's the issue.
They traded away all those picks for Bridges. So they might just be stuck. I wanted to mention it because I really think Thibodeau might get fired if they lose to Boston in a pretty decisive fashion in the second round. First round, he's done. Like, I don't think there's any chance he keeps his job first round. But second round, I just wonder if New York cuts ties. It wouldn't shock me.
I mean, maybe it's just. I think it's kind of just dependent upon how it plays out. And I mean, I know he's in the chat. He was talking about the lost the locker room. I can kind of see that with the back and forth about players not playing a ton.
There's been rumors about Josh Hart like calling out the play calling from Tibbs in the actual like in-game huddles. I've seen some of those reports too.
Yeah, but again. My thing is, if you're a Knicks organization, are you fine with this, how it's going, and you kind of just feel like...
I'm assuming not, because you had expectations. You were one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and then your whole team got hurt.
Yeah, but, like, do you want to go and hire a coach when the ceiling of when the trajectory of the team is going to always be the same because you don't have money to pay anybody to adjust this roster?
Yes, I think, though, the counterpoint, the last point I'll make, though, is that the Cavs' success this year might inspire some of these, I'd say, I don't want to say middling tier because it sounds harsh, but these non-title contending playoff teams that think they might have hit their ceiling with the current coach. The Atkinson immediate success might suggest that if you keep players in, once again, the current system they're in, it might not work out. But if you find a coach that can maximize the potential of the roster, there might be an untapped ceiling. So I do think Cleveland being this successful with Atkinson, who are kind of in the same spot with Bickerstaff last year the Knicks are in right now. You can make an argument if they do find a good coach on the market that fits what they want to do, maximizing the potential of Bridges, of OG, of Cat, of Brunson. You can make an argument and talk yourself into getting rid of Tibbs and trying something new. Because right now, what you're doing isn't working. That's the last point I'll really make on that. Do we agree on that?
I can agree with that. It's just that the only pushback I have would just be the Cavs have a significantly better roster.
Oh, correct. Like, there's definitely other pieces to it. I'm just saying the fact that they got rid of a coach, hired a new guy, and immediately got the 1 seed in the East might inspire other teams to try the same thing, even though it's clearly a case-by-case study.
Yeah, fair.
So that's kind of the point I was going to make. But anyway, I wanted to mention that as the Knicks got blown out yesterday again by a top-tier team. Before we get into any of the games here, we only have 6 games. So we could afford to do a 15-minute discussion about yesterday. But a reminder that we do have a great promo going on because the Masters actually starts today, I believe. And if you are trying to get in on the Masters, Augusta is right around the corner, and SGPN's back with Splash Sports for a big contest up to $30K in prizes, only $25 entry fee. Get in today at splashsports.com. So SGPN, that's splashsports.com. SGPN. Plus, reminder to tune into the Golf Gambling Podcast, the Steffi Small Show, and the Bottom Line Bombs for all of your Masters picks. We're also brought by EdgeBoost because they are the premier debit card for bettors. You can also use it to avoid having your card denied at the Sportsbook DFS site. You can also get great cash rewards, $750 per month in cash rewards by using the card. And a reminder, best part of credit checks fully free. Sign up today, though, at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by MyBookie because MyBookie.ag is the place to go to for every game and every sport, including Crown college basketball games. And if you want to try props, they have it at every game. They also have a ton of locations you can bet from because you can easily deposit using Lightning Fast payouts and with crypto. So once again, you can deposit at Lightning Fast payouts by using crypto and other payout methods. But a reminder, you could also head to MyBookie.ag with the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1K. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finish recapping what happened on Wednesday. Time to move on into the short slate here for Thursday. Starting off with a bunch of double-digit favorites as we're going to start off the card. So you have the Magic, who are laying 13.5. I had to make sure that wasn't a typo. And then I remember they're playing the Wizards, so that does make sense, I guess. The over-under's at 214.5. For the actual injury report for this game, Washington is on a back-to-back off a win, so maybe they'll sit half the team. They might be sitting half the team anyway. As Koulibaly's out, Brogdon never plays, Bay is still out. Smart's questionable, Middleton's questionable, Keyshawn George is questionable. Jones is probable, and Rashawn Holmes is also probable. For the Magic, you have nobody listed, but of course Jalen Suggs is still out. So I'm going to ask you, I know that the Magic have owned this team so far this season. In fact, the Magic have won each of the first 3 meetings this season by at least 15 points. But I'm going to ask you, do you want to lay 13.5 with Orlando on the road?
Do I want to? No. But if I had
to.
Yeah, if I had to, yeah. I mean, the Wizards got their win last night. Actually, you know what? I was actually watching that game.
It looked pretty good.
The crowd actually looked good. Like, I mean, you know, they had some support there. So that was interesting to see. They were, you know, cheering. And I mean, they got some young guys that I like. I mean, I really like AJ Johnson. I like Bub Carrington. They got some young guys that I like. Sarr's been playing better. Poole's been playing out of his mind. But again, I think the Magic will be able to shut that water off. I think they'll be able to they'll be able to stymie them under 100 points. And the Magic can, you know, get to 115, 116. So I'll lay it with the Magic. Paolo and Franz have been playing extremely well. I think the bench has been coming on with some of those younger guys. Black has been playing pretty good as well. They've been inserting Caleb Houston, who was known as a shooter coming out of Michigan. He's getting a little bit more minutes. I don't know why Jet's not getting a lot more minutes. I mean, you would think that they would surround those guys with shooters, but it just hasn't worked out.
I'm not really sure what the point of drafting Jet was if you're not going to use it when your team can't shoot.
That, especially that high. Yeah, I don't get that either. I mean, De Silva's been playing really well also, and he's not really known as a shooter. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife, but to me, he's similar to what like Paolo and Franz are. He's just like a lighter version of it, which doesn't make a lot of sense for him. Whatever, but I like the Magic in the game. Probably nothing I'm gonna bet, but if I had to play it, I would play the Magic.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet this game either, but Washington awful win. When you only have 17 wins, do you celebrate? Like, after winning a game that you probably shouldn't have won, maybe. I don't know. But the Wizards, I think, are going to maybe sit some guys. They don't care. Of course, they are in a good spot to maybe get Cooper Flagg in the draft lottery. We'll see. But the point is, I think awful win, they're going to be completely disinterested. Orlando, though, needs every game. Because not only can they still, once again, choose their seeding in the play-in if they end up winning out, basically, or they end up doing well, they can still win the division in one of the ugliest division races of all time. They can still win it. So if your preseason goal was to win the division, you can accidentally back your way into it. So Orlando still has to actually care about these games. The Wizards don't. And the Wizards can't really score. They've scored less than 106 in all 3 games against the Magic this season. They have scored less than 95 in 2 of those 3. I just think Orlando defensively is going to just hound this team. And I'm not sure how Washington's going to score, especially if they're going to be sitting some guys or putting min restrictions on other guys. So if you're going to have to rely on shooting from like A.J. Johnson, who's actually been playing pretty well lately, or like Bub Carrington, or a couple other like non-proven shooters to beat you, I'll take my chances. I'll go with Orlando. I think they'll win and cover. Am I happy about it? Like you said, no. But the Wizards' awful win, even before that game against Sacramento, they lost at home to the Heat by 20+. They lost to the Pacers by 50+. But they've been blown out at home a couple of times over the past week. I think it's a good spot for Orlando. I'll go with the Magic with you in that one. Maybe Wizards team total under.
Yeah, but I like the first half team total under.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. Moving on to the next game, another double-digit favorite. You have the Bucks minus 11.5 against the tanking Sixers, and the over-unders at 226.5. Now, for the injury report for this game, of course, Dame is still out. Bobby Portis still suspended. You're looking at Giannis, who's probably going to play, and that's basically it. For the Sixers, Grimes is listed as active. That's one of the only guys you actually care about when it comes to the injury report for this team. Yabusele is questionable. Besides that, Drummond, Lowry, Maxey, and Oubre are out, so the usual suspects for the last month or so are still out. But Grimes is playing. All that matters. So I'm going to ask you, Milwaukee last game had the highest field goal percentage in franchise history. Yeah. They shot about 68% from the floor against the Suns, and they won the game. So I'm going to ask you, do you want to lay 11.5 with the Bucks against the tanking team, or do you think Philly finds a way to hang in there?
I don't want to do anything with this game. If you want to just go back, I mean, that 68%, they shot 70% in the first half in the game before. So they're really attacking the paint. I would look at Giannis props. He should be able to get downhill and destroy the rim. I know he's a bit banged up, but he's a game time decision pretty much for the past like month and a half, and he plays. So I think if you want to look at Giannis points, rebounds, that would be the only thing I would play here. I don't trust the Bucks enough to lay 11.5. And what's the deal with Maxey? So they're saying that he practiced in
Maxey's just practicing, but they still want to be top 6. So they're trying to prove to other people that Maxey's still alive.
Right.
But they don't want to actually use him.
Right. Yeah. So I don't really have a feel for this game. If I had to do it, I would lay 11.5, but I don't really love it. I mean, I don't want to take points with a Philly team who just Giannis should be able to get downhill relentlessly. Like anytime he could do that anyway, but especially against his team. They got no front line depth. They got no perimeter defense. So I would put Giannis at the nail and let him just go to work and score like 50.
Yeah, I see Chad, by the way, mentioning for the Wizards game for a second. They are 1-11 to the team total over. So they are 11-1 to the team total under on the second night of a back-to-back this season, which makes sense when you think about it because the Wizards are going to be basically coasting in back-to-backs because they're not even trying to win anyway. So, yeah, I like the team total under as well. That's definitely a good angle there, Chad. For this game, I mean, the Bucks shot the cover off the ball. Like, I got nothing else to add in that last game. They gave up a ton of points to the Suns without Durant. Booker had 39 and 10, I think. The Sixers, though, were a joke. Like, they're actively punting games. I like the over in this game. I'll go with the points. Milwaukee's defense has been a mess, whether Dame plays or not. I think Giannis can have a great game. The Sixers don't play any defense either. But do I think Philly, with Grimes active, can do enough to contribute. Like, Milwaukee could score 130 again and nobody would be surprised. But if the Sixers walked into like 108, that's a fine number. It's a realistic number against this defense. And Milwaukee can get to 120. So I'll go with the over. And this total's a bit low. If Grimes is playing, I'm more, I'd say, interested in the over than, of course, when Grimes doesn't play, because he can drop 30 in any given game. So I'll go with the over in this game. I think it's a pretty low number. You have any thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I don't really. I don't have a good feel for it, to be honest. I like your breakdown. I can see if all things are clicking for the Bucks and they're just attacking downhill, getting to the free throw line, scoring while the clock stops. I can see this. I can see them easily getting to like 125.
That's kind of my point. I think there's a couple paths to get there.
Right, and then you just need Philly to score, 101, and I think that's feasible. So, I would agree with you on the over. I don't love it as much as you, but I can see the pathway there. I wouldn't take under. For sure.
I mean, if you want to go for Grimes points instead, I'm not going to stop you on that either, because if they're going to get to 100 and change, Grimes probably has like 25. Moving on to the last double-digit spread that we have for the card, Timberwolves taking on the Nets. Minnesota had that crazy double overtime win, courtesy of the Westbrook implosion, as they won that game in overtime. You're looking at the Timberwolves, though, as they are 13.5-point favorites against the Nets. Nets have won a couple in a row, actually. Did beat Dallas in the last game there. The over-unders at 215.5. For the injury report for these teams, Minnesota has their guys back from suspension, as Reed and DiVincenzo are back. Shannon's out, but besides that, fully healthy. For the Nets, no Cam Johnson, no Sharp, no Williams. However, D'Angelo Russell and Jalen Wilson are both probable for this game. So I'm going to ask you, because the Timberwolves have not played the Nets this season, but they have been in great form, and it seems like the Nets have been winning some games recently, but they're still not really worth a damn. I'm going to ask you, does any part of you want to consider taking the Nets plus the points? Or are you picking Minnesota to smack this team?
First half. I love the Nets first half. So I think that, although they had a game off in between the Denver game, they could come in a little bit lackadaisical, playing around a little bit because it's the Nets. So just thinking they can roll the ball out. They probably were in New York last night, had a good time. So I'm going to go with the Nets first half, but I do love the Timberwolves team total over. I think they'll be able to score on the Nets. The Nets defensively, they've been okay, but again, the way that Minnesota plays defensively, they should be able to turn the Nets over, turn turnovers into easy offense. I think they'll get to the line a ton. The three-point defense is also something that the Nets don't really do too well, and Minnesota is going to be bombs away from there. DiVincenzo and Naz Reid coming back adds another layer of scoring. That means their bench depth goes back to being what they generally were. So I think they could score 120 here. But I do like the Nets in the first quarter, first half. I don't want to lay the 13.5, but first quarter, first half, I think is a good play for the Nets, and I like the Minnesota team total over.
Yeah, I see Chad asking if there's motivation for Minnesota. There better be. I mean, you're looking at the current standings right now in the Western Conference.
Yeah, they got to be. Yeah.
They can't afford to slip up at all, because right now they're half a game behind Golden State for the 5. Yeah. There's a 3-way tie for 6th seed with the Clippers and the Grizzlies. So one loss tonight, they can move into the 8th seed. So right now, they are the final non-play-in playoff team in the Western Conference. They have to be motivated for every game at this point. The standings are too close. You can't
all of those teams do
up at all. Yeah. So, all those teams are. The Grizzlies don't care. We'll talk about them in a second. But the point is, the Timberwolves have been playing good basketball. The issue you run into, though, is 13.5. Do they, coast a little bit? I think the Nets have a hard time scoring against this team. So I like the Nets team total under, personally. I understand the argument is the Nets, look pretty good against Dallas, I guess. But you're looking at Gobert, you're looking at Reed, a lot of size for Minnesota. They're a good defensive team as well with McDaniels, with Ant. I see a very hard time for the Nets to actually score in this game. I think Rudy's going to have a solid game on the glass as well. I think the Timberwolves probably cover this, but I'm not going to bet it. I prefer the Nets team total under, personally. I just think they're going to finish below 100 in this game. And the Nets have won 2 in a row, so I'm sure the front office was yelling at the players to lose. So we'll see what happens. But I'll go with the Timberwolves once again defensively to show up, and I'll go with the under for the Nets team total for this one. Anything else you want to add for this game?
No, that's it.
Cool. Moving on to the next game, you have the Grizzlies, who are favored by 4.5 against the Heat. The over-under is at 223.5. And the Heat are on a back-to-back, but as of right now, it seems like everyone's listed as active besides the guys who've been missing the last couple games, as Wiggins is a game-time decision. I think he's doubtful, though. Same thing with Jovic, but you might get the return of Kevin Love and Duncan Robinson. They are both game-time decisions. For Memphis, basically fully healthy besides Williams and Poulin, so basically full strength. Now, the Grizzlies have been a laughingstock recently, and Taylor Jenkins has been enjoying their free fall after he got fired. They still have not won a game since. Now, the Heat are on a back-to-back, did beat the Celtics on the road comfortably. Grizzlies did not play after losing to the Warriors in their last game, courtesy of the Curry 52 piece, I think. But I'm going to ask you, because it is a back-to-back for Miami. Grizzlies, though, are on the road. There's no chance I'm personally laying 4.5 with Memphis right now. I'll go Heat money line, but what do you like in this game?
Yeah, so I'll lay the 4.5. Like I said earlier, I don't think the Memphis they don't really struggle with middling teams. Like they handle business against. They just can't beat the elite teams, which is pretty much why the demise of Taylor Jenkins happened. But it's a good spot for them. They're getting out of Memphis. No more noise. They're on the road. I mean, I know Miami's not the best place to be whenever you're trying to get locked in, but that a little less distractions, a little less noise from all of the people around the area talking about the Jenkins stuff. Now you're on the road, got some bonding time with those guys to get things back in order. And I mean, it's not like they've been bad, but they've been close in some of those. They led Golden State by like 4 late in the game, kind of gave the game away. Same with the Lakers, same with the Boston kind of came out and, buried them in that second half at the end of the third quarter going into the fourth. But they've been right there. I think they match up really well with the Heat. So I'm going to take the Grizzlies here, -4.5. I also like the over too. They're going to play with a lot of pace. The Heat, I know they're on a back-to-back, but at home they generally score a little bit more than they do on the road. I know they put up a big number last night against Boston, who was, halfway trying. To me, that's what it looked like. And they pretty much had their way offensively. I do like this Heat team. I'm glad they're getting back on track, but I think they run into a hungry Grizzlies team who's going to win by margin here. So I got the Grizzlies by 7+ here.
You know who I think is turning into one of my, I'd say, more underrated players in the league? You want to guess?
Yeah, Pelle Larsson.
That is correct.
Yeah,
100% Pelle.
He looks like a guy that you would like.
The guy can hoop. That's
yeah,
all I'm saying.
He can.
I actually bet his player prop the other night against the Wizards. His points were at 7.5, and I'm like, he's going to play 30 minutes. But it's one of those where you get some teams occasionally will get fortunate with injuries, and I don't mean staying healthy. I mean some guys get hurt, and you randomly discover a random guy on your bench who actually can give you minutes in a rotation. Larson's good.
Yeah.
Like, guy can play. He does a lot of stuff on both sides of the ball. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. He can shoot a little bit. Very good defensively. Gives you energy. I think he's actually a nice piece of this Miami team.
Perfect Heat player.
He should stay in the rotation once Wiggins and company come back. But I like Larson. I think he's good. But the point is, I can't lay this with Memphis because, unlike you, I have no faith in this team. And we're talking about Miami having a next man up approach, and how this team is starting to look sharp defensively again with Bam and with Ware together. Of course, you have Off Night, a point guard who can help you defensively. The Grizzlies don't even try to guard anybody, like, at all. Watching them defend is optional. Like, they don't actually try to guard anyone. So if you are not going to really stay in front of your guys or communicate or whatever, and you're hoping, I guess, Triple J bails you out on blocks the entire time, I think this Grizzlies team right now is kind of an auto-fade territory. They're a play-in team now. I get it's a good scheduling spot, and I understand that Memphis played well offensively against Golden State. They couldn't get a stop to save their lives in the entire game, but I'm going to go with Miami in this one. I just think that the Grizzlies, until they win a game recently, I'm not going to put money on them. I get your point. Should Memphis win this game on paper? Sure. Based on current form, will I bet them to do so? No, I can't do it. Give me Miami on the money line at home in this spot personally. If Memphis proves me wrong, tip of the cap. But I'll dare them to actually show up for a game on both sides of the ball. Moving on, though, to the next game, you have the Trailblazers taking on the Raptors. Raptors officially eliminated from play-in contention, so maybe they will finally start tanking when they should have been doing so months ago. But the Blazers are favored by 4.5 on the road. The over-unders at 224.5. Injury report for Portland. You have Simons, who's questionable, did miss the last game, and ended up beating Atlanta anyway, courtesy of the 30-point triple-double by Avdia. Besides that, though, you have no Ayton. Grant, I think, is doubtful. You have no Scoot, no Time Lord, and that's basically it. For Toronto, they, of course, have been alternating rest days for some of the key guys. You have no Pirtle. You have no Quickly. Brandon Ingram, you forgot, still on the team. You have no Grady Dick. Barnes is questionable, though, with a hand issue. The line's been going up a bit more. I see Portland's now at 5. I think Barnes probably doesn't play in this game based on the hand issue and the fact that they are eliminated from playoff or play in contention. We'll see what happens, but I think I'm going to go with Portland in the spot. You?
I agree 100%. The line shot up. I think it was 1.5 over overnight. I like the over as well. I think both teams should be able to score. Got to give credit to Chauncey Billups, man, for coming into the season because he was pretty much considered a lamed up coach or, kind of a bridge to get to the coach that they needed. But
isn't he a free agent though at the end of the year?
That's a good question. I'm not.
I think he is a free agent.
They have to bring him back. They have to.
I was going to say worst case scenario, decent audition job for the last couple months.
But they have to bring him back. I think his camaraderie with these guys and the way he's gotten them to buy in and play, I think that's a testament to his coaching style and pretty much the players can kind of relate to player coach. So yeah, but I like the Blazers here, especially with all of the ups and downs that are going on with this roster. Raptors eliminated. Trailblazers technically not eliminated. They're 3.5 games back, so they still got a little bit of hope. Denny Avdia has been great, and they're doing this without Ayton, Rob Williams. Scoop's been kind of up and down.
Scoop was coming on though. He had a couple good games though against the Knicks and company.
He did. Shaedon Sharp is coming on. I think he had 33 and 10 last game, or 23 and 10 or something like that last game. But I think both teams will be able to score. Like the over. I know it's a little bit rich now from the open, but I would go Trailblazers with nothing on the side. But over would be my best play.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on both sides. Toronto, I know that on YouTube I gave out Barnes to go under his PR. I do like that play. His hand issue's been messing with his shot. He's been brutal of the last couple games. So if he sits, whatever, my YouTube play voids. But at the same point, Toronto, I'm hoping at some point we'll start realizing the tank because why would you even bother? If you wanted to fight for a play-in spot, sure. You got eliminated anyway recently, so maybe they'll fully roll over. But Portland was in bad form, beat Atlanta last game. Avdia had a great game. You're looking at Sharp, who can have a solid game as well. Simons, we know, can get hot from 3. They have a lot of weapons as far as I'm concerned, and Kamara, I know, is a phenomenal defensive player. You know that I love Kamara. Kamara is a very solid defensive player. And
him and Tybalt together, oh my God.
Tybalt, as far as I'm concerned, is a non-NBA player because he never plays. But yeah,
now, defensively, they are.
Defensively, you're right. Just Tybalt's never active, so I don't even bother factoring him in. But I like Clingan at center. He needs to work on his offensive skills, but he gives you good rim protection. But I think Portland has some talent on their roster. Toronto is using a bunch of bench guys now because they're sitting a bunch of starters. If Barnes does not play, you add another one to the list. Toronto might roll over. If they end up admitting to the tank, they might be very profitable to fade for the remainder of the season because for Philly, for example, they lost like 23 of their last 26. And then the odds makers realized, wait, why are we only putting Philly at like 7? They should be like 15. And now you can barely find value on fading Philly now. But if you were fading Philly for a couple weeks there, you were getting phenomenal value on a team that was actively not trying to win. And maybe Toronto finds themselves in the same spot. So give me Portland -4.5. I'll go with the over as well. I think Portland's in a good spot to get the job done in this road game. Moving on, though, to the last game on the card. We saved the best game for last, the Curry versus LeBron game. Could be a potential playoff matchup. We'll see. But for the actual spread, Lakers -1.5 at home. For the over-under, you have 229.5. Injury report, you're looking at the Warriors maybe being without Kuminga, who's questionable. Gary Payton II is injured again. He's not going to play. For the Lakers, basically fully healthy. LeBron is probable. He's going to play. So for the matchup itself, I know the Lakers have owned this team for the last couple years, but want to point out every meeting this season, the Lakers have won. They all happened before Butler got to Golden State. So I do want to ask you for this matchup, basically a coin flip. What do you like in this game?
Love the Lakers, man. I think it's a great matchup for the Lakers, bad matchup for the Warriors, even with Jimmy. The way to beat the Lakers is not playing small because that's what they want to do. They don't have a big. So they can counter all of the small ball stuff that the Warriors do really well. So if they want to play Draymond at the 5, that's fine. They can just play LeBron at the 5. Luka's forearm injury does kind of worry me a little bit. I know he'll play, and he said he's going to play, but that's kind of lingering around, and he's been kind of banged up going into the last month of the season as well. So, but I just think it's a bad matchup for the Warriors. They're 3-0. The Lakers 3-0 against them this year. You beat the Lakers by being physical on the interior and having a big who can kind of roam For instance, like the Cavs are a bad matchup for the Lakers. Boston, a bad matchup for the Lakers, I think. So the Warriors, I mean, their advantage is they play small. Well, that's what the Lakers like to do. So I think the Lakers shot makers, DFS has been shooting the ball well. Gabe Vincent shooting the ball well. Rui has been kind of up and down, so I want to see him play a little bit better. I think this is a specific game where he can play at the top of his level. So I'm looking for a big game from him. But I think overall, I think it's a good matchup for the Lakers. Great spot. Really good game, man. I'll be tuned into this one. So I like the Lakers. I like under also. I think it would be a low-scoring type of game.
Yeah, so it should be a fun game. I'm going to agree with you about the Lakers, though. I do want to point out the Lakers are 29-9 at home. They've been a great home team for a couple of years. The issue is always on the road, and this is a home game. So you're going to be seeing a packed house. Should be an insane atmosphere, and the Lakers, I do think, have enough closers to win what should be a close game. I'm not picking it to be an easy win. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to be a war. But the Warriors, I don't want to say we're fortunate to beat Memphis, but Draymond had a triple-double. Steph had 52 and 10. They didn't miss a free throw the entire game. I think they were 27 of 27 from the free throw line. It was something like outrageous.
Yeah, it was.
So I expect to see a bit more aggression there. But the point is, I think the Lakers just had this team's number. There's a certain physicality that the Lakers have, even with no center, with LeBron, who I think is just a matchup problem for this team. I think the Lakers can actually match up okay with Jimmy Butler. Butler might have a solid game anyway, but I think they have enough guys to throw at Butler. For Curry, he could have a great game against Reeves and against Luka. I get it, but I do think the Lakers have a pretty good matchup against the Warriors. Should be close, though. We'll see what happens, but I do think the Lakers, based on the head-to-head numbers, I just have to back them. The total's a bit weird because I can see a high-scoring game because ball defense has been great lately, but I can also see the playoff-type atmosphere vibes where these guys just have a war on the court, and the refs kind of let some stuff go, but it's chippy, very physical, and you get yourself a grind. So I think I'm going to agree with you. I think I like the over this morning, and now I'm reconsidering. I'll go with the under for this game. Think you'll see a close game that comes down to the wire, but I'll go with the Lakers to get the job done in this one. Anything else you want to add? Maybe for props for this game, or just move on?
Not really. I like Rui to go over if you want to look at his points and then like threes. I think he'll have a good game. I just think he matches up very well with what the Warriors want to do. Like I said, when they go small and they can play LeBron at the 5, kind of counter him with Draymond and have him roam the paint and be an initiator, and driving kicks will be there for Rui. So I like Rui threes and look at his points as well.
Am I wrong for not actually liking the Jackson Hayes matchup here? Because if he's going to be running to the rim as a lob threat, do the Warriors have many great rim protectors?
Nope.
Not really. So I don't mind Hayes maybe catching some lobs in this game. You said Luka's forearm's bothering him. It is. I don't mind his assists in this game. Maybe he pivots more. LeBron kind of takes over the scoring, but Luka can still get some guys open in pick and roll switches. We'll see how quickly Golden State goes to Draymond playing the 5. I imagine pretty quickly.
Yeah.
No offense to Post, who's been pretty good from 3, but I imagine Draymond is going to be playing the 5, but he will be getting the LeBron matchup. So you should be getting a lot of potential rim runs for Hayes in this matchup. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for all the games on the Thursday card. Now it's time for the Lock and Dog picks. For that, though, I want to remember once again that we are brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, because they have a great honor to pick them. You can play any sport, win 200 times your money. You can mix and match sports, NBA, college basketball. You have NHL, you have golf, you have tennis, etc. A lot of sports to choose from, baseball, and you can mix and match for your Underdog pick 'em. Reminder, though, you sign up for your new account, use the promo code NBSGPN to claim a special first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 bonus cash. Our fancy promo code NBASGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm because they are the home of AI picks and props. They also just went live for MLB. So if you want to see MLB models, they have you covered. They also have models for the NBA and for golf. You can also try it out for free for a week by using the link sportsgamingpockets.com/rhythm, sportsgamingpockets.com/RITHMM for your 7-day free trial. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished going through all of the games on the Thursday card. Now it's time for the Lock and Dog picks. Lonte, I want you to go first. What are your Lock and Dog picks for the card today?
Pretty simple, man. We just went over my lock. I like. I was going to lock Memphis. I really was. But
I'm not going to stop you. I'm not taking Memphis.
No. I'm going to go with the Lakers minus the 1.5. I think they win. I think it'd be a great game. I really do. But I think in the end, it'll be too much Luka, too much LeBron. And I think the biggest part in this is that Okay, so you got Luka and LeBron versus Steph and Jimmy. Okay, that's
you throw Reeves in there too, and the Warriors
right.
third
But
option isn't great.
My point was, I think the Lakers 3, 4, and 5 are significantly better than the Warriors 3, 4, and 5. So I think that's where the game's going to be decided. Also, like the Lakers bench a lot more. They've been playing really well, so I think the Lakers win. About 5-6 here. So I'm going to lock them up. And for the dog, let's go with plus 300. Your Brooklyn Nets to win the first half.
Okay, I did not see that coming at all. Okay, cool. If you want to look for Naz Reid in that game, by the way, that's a bit of a homecoming for Naz Reid.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll have some family there.
Yeah, so for my lock on the show, do I want to go Portland? Like, a part of me really does because the line keeps going up, and I kind of agree with it. But yeah, I thought about maybe going with the Wizards team total under. I know that there was a stat mentioned by Chad in the comment section that they've been very good to team total unders in back-to-backs. I think I'll take Portland in this game, minus the 4.5. I think at the end of the day, Toronto might actually start tanking. I think Barnes might not play. I know Barrett is playing, but you have no Quickly, you have no Pirtle. There's really no incentive to try at this point. Portland, as you said before, was not officially eliminated yet. They did beat Atlanta last game. Maybe Simons comes back, but I like their weapons a bit more. Toronto, I know, has been pretty good at home this season compared to the road numbers, but it really does feel like based on line movement and based on overall, I'd say, context, Toronto might get buried in this game. Portland did win the first game. I see some matchup problems, though, for Toronto in this matchup, and I think it's going to be a good matchup for Portland. So give me Portland minus the 4.5 in this game as my lock. For my dog, thought about maybe going with something in this Lakers game, actually. I might be persuaded into the under for this Lakers and Warriors game, just thinking of what should be, in my opinion, a bit more of a physical affair between the two of them. So I'm trying to go for a combo play if I could actually get a good price here. Let me see what I can get. Okay, you know what? I'll go for a contrarian play, a same-game parlay. Give me the under 229 with LeBron 20-plus points. It's plus 155. So I'll go with that as my combo. Lower scoring game, but LeBron gets his. That's kind of my thoughts there. He always does against the Warriors, and Curry always does against the Lakers. So that'll be my dog for the show at plus 155 on that 2-pick same-game parlay. Anyway, time to get into the underdog entry for the show. Lonte, you have any actual guys you want to target for this matchup?
Yeah, I guess Rui would be my number one.
Okay.
I think Rui's going to have a pretty big game.
In what aspect did you have in mind?
What is his points?
So his points for this game are set at 11.5.
Yeah, I like that higher.
Okay. Against the Warriors, by the way, he has scored at least 14 in 3 of the last 4.
Yeah, it's a good spot for him. That's a good matchup. Did you mention you mentioned a prop earlier? I can't remember which game it was.
I don't remember.
I forgot who it was. Maybe
I said Grimes points in that Philly game.
Grimes, that's who it was. Grimes. You like Grimes? I mean, Grimes has been phenomenal.
If we think he's actually going to play like 28 minutes, then like sure. I mean, they moved him to point guard, so they clearly want him to get the ball in his hands the entire time. Yeah. He had 26 against the Knicks by getting blown out, played 36 minutes. So yeah, I'll go with Grimes higher on his points there. Quickly just seeing what the number is. Okay, so you're actually getting a good deal on Underdog because every book has 23.5, but Underdog is 22.5. So we'll take that at 22.5. And for the last one that we'll go with, I'm trying to think of what we want to actually go for in this one. I mean, do you want to go for like an Avdia game? Do you want to go for a Jaw game?
I like Sharp.
I guess you like Sharp. Okay, I can get behind Sharp.
Yeah, I like Sharp. 33, 23, 22, 18, 23, 23 in his last.
Yeah, Sharp's at 21.5 though. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
But
what do you want? You want to do PR? Because he's had 6+ rebounds in like almost like 7 of 10.
I guess the one concern I have though is, do you think he's still in line for a massive scoring game if Simons comes back? Because we know Simons loves to shoot the ball.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm a bit skeptical, but he has been doing well in this number lately.
Yeah.
So I probably want to pass on Sharp until I know if you're going to end up seeing a Simons play in this one.
What about Kuzma?
Oh God.
Against Philly's defense?
Yeah, I mean, he has not been rebounding the ball at all lately, but I just want to ask, you want the points at 16.5? Like, I don't see much. The assists, though, have actually been pretty good for Kuzma.
Yeah, maybe we pass on that.
I'll go for the assists, actually. He's had at least 3 assists in 4 of the last 5.
Yeah, that's fine, man.
And he's been good against Philly on the assists.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll go with that as a random play there. So, once again, the 3-pick entry for the underdog play for the show is going to be Kuzma, higher, 2.5 assists. We are going to go with our second pick, which was you wanted Rui on his points at, I believe it was 11.5. And for the last one, we're going to go with Grimes higher on his points at 22.5. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Remind back once again tomorrow for the Friday slate. Lonte, anything else you want to add before we officially wrap up the show?
That's about it, man. We got one good game. That's it. We missed the underdog by literally Jalen Green getting benched for like the last 16 minutes of the game. He had 22.
Yeah, they were up by 40. So
yeah,
it
what
happens.
Can you do?
Yeah, is what it is. Anyway, yeah, you can find him on Twitter at XXLonteXS. Find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.